Hey Ninjas, it's Randy again for session 3 of the Ninja Update training for 2020. I want to pick up where I left off in the last video. I was doing some of the controls and screen controls, and I got behaviors that I didn't expect. You'll notice that the behaviors of this thing are depending on how things are clicked. It behaves slightly differently, so just be patient with it. There's some learning to be done. But this little slider, I was showing you some of the controls right here. And specifically, this is the normal view we're accustomed to seeing. This is an improved view. If you like this better, you can use it while you're running the lyrics. And this is a different kind of I guess kind of like a reflow view, it's called. But some of these, when you click them, it seems like sometimes I can't tell what exactly the circumstances are. But if this dialog pops up right here, what that font size that you do, you see is you can change the font size you're looking at. And we'll figure it out soon enough on what the circumstances are where this one pops up, or there's a little queuing when that'll pop up as well. In addition, this slider changes the size of the box itself. So if you want the box a different size, you can do that with the slider here. That's about the way I like it. This is the view I like. And let's see. Yeah, and I've actually run it where even though I'm looking at this view, I get the font size here. So there's something about going on with queuing here that's making it behave a little different. But anyway, that's what the slider changes the box. And depending on which one you're on here, in this you can set the nature of the font, and so a lot bigger font here might be desirable to you. Additionally, there was a little bit of problem in this audio bin, so I'll go ahead and get into that with you a little bit. This is the audio bin, and these are the audio folders. Folders are very similar. You can click this and add a new folder, and notice we have one here called Christmas, and various names that might be applicable. And this would be the master because I've highlighted. So these are the various lists that are in here of audio files. If something's in the master list here and you want to put it in there, for example, if you saw something here that looked like a Christmas related, and you can just go up here and drag it and drop it into Christmas. That's how you would do that. Notice when you click it, by the way, it also starts playing it. But anyway, back to the master, and you can see there was a little bit of a problem that we really hadn't done any work in the audio bin until I started that video. But if you click on it, notice now we have up here in the media, we have music and audio, and we also have the controls now have switched to music, and we can move this around, and we're actually controlling that audio and all here. So that's that. So this is now stable. I just deleted all these files and re-imported them. We got things going. That's a bit large there, so let me just go ahead and make it back down to a bit more sensible size. Other more sensible. There we go. So anyway, that's just wrapping up the previous video on video 2 on some of this stuff we saw over here. Let's talk a minute about playlists and how that works differently. There's a lot of things that are the same. We have a master playlist. It's much more easy. It's much easier now to have also a scripture playlist, so we can put our scriptures in there and keep them separate. That's pretty nice. We're using the same naming convention. For example, this is the upcoming worship service on 7/5 of 20, and if you click on it, it's just the same. You can see the contents of the playlist here, or you can see the contents of the master here. The order of worship is quite a bit different since we're streaming video, and what we're at this moment, what we're doing is each week we'll alternate. We'll do a contemporary service, the next week a traditional service, and so we still have a fixed slides playlist like you saw in the past. These are some slides, but there's a lot more of this. When people do come back for in-person worship, they probably won't have hymnals because there's a bit of a virus problem with that, they believe, and so we're going to be projecting these things more and more. So this allows us to alternate back and forth. Same thing you saw before. One thing that's different about this, what used to be called hot folders are now called smart playlists. Same font, same layout, that sort of thing, but they're now called, as I said, smart playlists. And let me pop it back up here and show you what that means. They show up down here, and what used to be the smart playlists, what used to be the hot folders, are now showing up here, very similar. But in addition, the graphics are significantly changed. I'll get into the details on why if we have time here. But for example, children's time. If I click on children's time, you'll see now they're graphical images. And if I click on one, it pops it up to the top of the screen. Let me clear all those. You'll notice as I pop one of these, it pops on the top of the screen. Well, the reason for that is when we're streaming the output, it's very flexible, but wherever you put that graphic on one, so far it appears it's on all 3 of the outputs if there's a graphic. You'll notice here that this is a children's science graphic. This is what would stream to the internet, and you would have the actual camera feed of whoever the person is doing the children's time would be feeding here. Similarly, let me show you. If I look at the screen output here in the this used to be a full screen we would portray, but when in-person worship resumes, that strip will show up kind of in that top third as we've done before. We'll decide if we're going to move the screen up or down or not, but this is the same graphic, and we're trying to keep this thing simple to operate so we don't have multiple graphics going on. But that's what's happening there. And you'll also notice, just a point of interest, that on the stage screen there are no graphics. All they see are the lyrics to songs, or whatever lyrics or text is being presented in this type of media here. So let's see, with that, my point for bringing this all up is the fixed slides up here. You'll notice when you look at all the contemporary and all, there are no longer slides for children's time. It's actually things that are common, like the Apostles' Creed that we do quite often. This is a little thing that they end the service with. You've probably seen it on the line. God be with you. The Lord's Prayer. These come up all the time. This glory to be to the Father looks like actually a typo. It actually belongs in the master. Let's just drop it in there. It behaved like that, by the way. I just tried to drop that in the master playlist. It behaved that way because it's already in there. And so I'm just going to delete it from this playlist, and it'll clean that up. So, but anyway, this is a service of word and table. This is basically the text and all that's for a communion. And just to show you why it's important is because, again, if they don't have hymnals, let me see, click one of these. What happened, we'll project this on the hymnal, and you'll notice that this real estate, we pull these down on the screen. That's because sometimes we'll throw a graphic, and we're keeping these slides pulled down a bit so that we always keep that real estate open for the graphic if we need it. That's, again, screen one view. This is, if we send it, this is what we're streaming to the internet. Now in this scenario, let me just do this. Let me clear that. That's what they would see streaming, and again, they would see what's going on here. So you don't want to have happen what I just did, which is have the media can conflict a bit where you're stepping on things. For example, these lyrics are stepping on top of that. It works, but it's not professional. Let me show you why. We don't normally have lyrics or readings while there's a children's time, but there are also some fixed worship, like prayers of the people, for example. And if you look at the prayers of the people, we now have 2 slides only, and notice we left this area clear for just exactly that purpose. If there's a prayer to be read, or scripture readings or whatever, it's on the left side of this, and that's how we're staying consistent to the real estate on top, so that it works on both streaming and in house. But we've left it open so that the text on the stream doesn't conflict with other things. So that's you'll see some of them are off to the right, and that's why we're keeping that real estate reserved for lyrics. And what would normally be under here on the stream would be the camera input, which we don't have the camera running right now while I'm showing you this. And again, it's nothing. It's always nothing but lyrics and text that's going to the stage screen for the praise band. You'll see that communion. It's very similar. Communion is. You may recall. Let me pop it up here. Let me clear this. If you're not quite sure what's happening, always check what you're looking at in terms of a screen. Clear all, and then come back over here and hit the media. So. This is the Lord's table. During the communion, we do the Lord's Prayer, and you'll see that there. I just popped up the graphic, the fixed graphic, and if the Lord's Prayer is in here, you click on that, and what will happen is, while during communion we're reading the Lord's Prayer, this is what they'll see in house. This is what they'll see on the stream, and again, they'll actually see the camera feed of the communion service with the Lord's Prayer. So that's why that's all right justified. That's why you'll see some of them that way. If there's anything tricky about that, is that now that the text and all is in a different fixed playlist than down here where there's smart playlists. That's the best way I can put that. But as you can see, we get used to bouncing from here to here, and it works. The rest of this works pretty much the same. I would say the only other thing that they did that was very cool is, like, you can hit this search, and like if you're looking for, you type in a word that's either in the song and it'll go find all these different things you might be interested in. And this is, by the way, they call it persistent. You can put this wherever you want, and it'll stay wherever you want it to stay. And so anyway, I just did the search. This is searching the main feed, and I can just grab that and drop it into a playlist from here, and it works fine. As soon as I drop it, I believe, I click off of that and it goes away. You can also just do it from the master, and then just find it here and then drag it up here and drop it on the playlist. So it's pretty friendly that way. That is enough for this video. I will. This is video 3. We've just talked through, wrapped up kind of some of those details that were a little confusing over here on this bar at the end of the last video, and we got into the playlists a bit and how those work. On the next video, I think I'll talk about the editing and how that works. It's a bit different, and I think a lot better. We'll see you there.